Good day to you all. Today we're going to talk about D&D races and how to make them even cooler. One of the most iconic aspects about fantasy worlds are the different diversity of creatures that you can see. And over the years of me playing and DMing D&D, I've created a list of extra flavoring to make them shine even more. Now, whether you are a player or DM, these things will help you. I decided to help you follow along here to classify these into 3 different categories to avoid redundancy. So, for the first one, we have the hunted races. Pretty straightforward. These are things that I've added that cause them to be hunted by the world. Next thing to talk about is talent. This is mainly a special attribute of the race that favors them towards certain positions in society. And finally, we have flair. This is just a cosmetic feature that looks cool, but can really add a lot to the race. So let's go ahead and start with the first one on the list of the hunted, which are the Aasimars. What I really like to do with Aasimars is focus on their wings. The wings of an Aasimar are seen as a true physical manifestation of the divine deities. Now, it's for this reason that I usually have Aasimars be incredibly rare in my world, and as such, they are incredibly hunted. If people manage to capture members of this race, they will force their wings out and cut them off, after which they look to sell it at a black market or a high-class auction for a fortune. And I really love this for 2 main reasons. The first one was that any Aasimar player, felt that much more special, having this constant threat throughout their journey that was ever present, this force of tension and caution that caused them to roleplay quite often. The second one is that it's actually a great situation as a DM to set up an auction where these wings are being sold, and you have a lot of different paths, different avenues of how you want to portray that situation. The next thing to talk about are changelings, and if any of you have watched Hunter x Hunter, you know what the Scarlet Eyes are. And that was my main inspiration when going into changelings. Because changelings are constantly morphing and shapeshifting, their eyes are ever shifting in color. It's a beautiful and exotic feature that persists even after death. Due to this though, it is regarded as the greatest decoration one could have in their estate. Once discovered, rogues, bandits, and hunters will rush down to track down a changeling and collect their eyes to sell. The closer the eyes are together, the brighter the shine of the color. However, for an unknown reason, when you bring 2 different changeling eyes together, both of them would decay. For this reason, you need a set of changeling eyes from the same changeling. This causes it to become extremely rare, but extremely valuable if you have both eyes. And as such, anytime one finds a changeling, it is not too uncommon to see that they have been blinded with both eyes removed. Now, if that wasn't dark enough for you, we're about to get a little bit darker as we talk about the Dragonborns. An exotic race to be sure, but they are still a common one within the world. Dragonborns hold valuable skills that can be used to craft the strongest of armors, but the practice of exploiting their skin is shunned by most societies. For the ones who don't, however, Dragonborns are often sold there. Then harvesters will begin to peel their scales off, usually resulting in the death of the Dragonborn. The ones who live, however, are called shredded Dragonborns and are usually looked down upon by other Dragonborns or pitied by most societies. The next one to talk about are Minotaurs, and what I really like to do with them is give them magical horns. These horns are said to elevate the flavoring of any liquid it holds and also keeps it safe from spoiling. In result, their horns are seen as a valuable material for tavern owners everywhere. For all those rogues out there, the next thing we're going to discuss is Yuan-Tis. With the right conditions, Yuan-Tis can secrete the deadliest venom known to man. To do so, the venom glands, however, must be removed from the Yuan-Ti and placed into a magical process that evolves the venom. For this reason, Yuan-Tis either sell their glands willingly or have it cut from their throats from poachers. Now, the last one in our hunted list are Haringons, and this one's pretty straightforward: rabbit's lucky foot. If a Harengon is caught, there could be people that will attempt to amputate a limb or 2 in the belief that a rabbit's lucky foot will bring them luck and fortune. As we step into our talent tree, the first one to talk about are Goliaths, the largest of all races. They're huge. Goliaths are often seeked out to be soldiers and bodyguards, pretty obvious. A Goliath soldier immediately gains the attention of any members of the military and are often sponsored by nobles and kings to be highly trained so that they can become iron walls for them. I also like to do something where I have Goliaths usually compete in gladiator rings, whether they've been enslaved to do so or do so willingly, in hopes of getting riches or glory or provide entertainment. The next thing that we're going to talk about is fairies, and with fairies comes fairy dust. Believed in many cultures that fairy dust is a mystical, magical, and universal substitute for dozens of spells. Fairies are commonly captured and forced in bird cages by some races or even shops. Then their dust is harvested as time goes on, leaving the fairy to be caged for life. So with this, you can either have a player character fairy that was once enslaved, put into this cage that would then broke free, or you can set up a cool quest for your players to free and liberate a fairy that is currently in a cage. Or trap them forever and collect the fairy dust themselves. It's D&D. Look, if there's one thing we know about tabaxis, they're fast. They're real fast. And because they're fast, they're used to deliver letters and are often found as couriers. But a more noble cause, they can also be used to deliver life-saving reagents, whether that be gems, spells, scrolls, whatever it is. Look, you get it. There's going to be a lot of tabaxis on the road, and if there's a tabaxi in the party, perhaps they can get a better deal for a delivery mission. This last one for a talent is something I really wish D&D did, which is an elephant's memory for Loxodons. Due to their perfect memory, it makes them prime options for librarians and guards. Loxodons can recall details far better than any race can, and as such, it makes them almost impossible to deceive. We now jump into the Flayer section, and the first one on the list are the Calistars. Now, my favorite part about Calistars is the idea that there is a spirit possessing the body, and as such, a very small but important detail that I added is that there's two different eye colors, one of the body and one of the spirit. And so one really cool detail on their character creation for players is to ask them, what is the other eye color? Next up on the list are the Shatterkai, and the part that I really liked the most about them was their tie-in to the Raven Queen. I decided to make Shatterkai a curse from the Raven Queen known to mark any child of any race. This happens in the first 10 seconds of birth, where an audible laugh is heard in the area, as the baby is then turned into a pale-skinned humanoid with white or black hair. As such, the first 10 seconds of any birth is a tense moment for the parents. Rituals and prayers are often said in these 10 seconds, believing that it could ward off the Raven Queen's magic. Shatterkai are seen as the beacons of misfortune, and most races avoid them at all cost. The next one to talk about are Leonins, and this kind of got me some inspiration from Moana, specifically Maui's tattoos. Leonins are a tribal nomadic race. They cherish the memory of their ancestors and their own journey as well through a spiritual quest. During this, they can be found having animated tattoos that grow on their skin, reflecting their journey and their decisions. Once a Leonin has made a significant enough decision, the tattoo will solidify, permanently marking them with an incredible deed or a grievous sin that they committed. Leonins who only have permanent markings are the most respected or the most feared, for their spiritual quest has been completed, and they may now stand alongside their ancestors. Warforged is pretty nice and sweet. In the same way that druids speak druidic and rogues can speak thieves can't, Warforges, artificers, and all constructs can speak droid. This is pretty much in Star Wars when you see like Obi-Wan and Anakin talk to R2-D2, and it's just a series of beeps and boops that makes it really fun. Next up on the list is Eladrin. I think I'm saying that right. I haven't had anyone correct me, so if I'm saying it wrong, let me know, but you know what? I'm right. Eladrins are Fey elves that take on a physical appearance of the four seasons of nature. What I like to do though is that instead of having them choose a season, I actually have their form switch based on their mood. Fall when sad, spring when happy, winter when introverted, and summer when extroverted. This creates an actually cool dynamic where the Eladrin is actually kind of constantly shifting what they look like, and other players and characters can kind of get an idea of what they're feeling based on how they look. If you made it to the end of this, you're a cool person, and a cool person likes to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what their favorite thing they've done to a race is. A D&D race, not an actual, we're just going to go ahead and end it here.